What's up, poker players? Hope some of you guys made some deep runs in the OSS series from yesterday. Gonna get back in those tournaments again today in a little bit, but we are first gonna look over some of the cash games that I had going on next to the tournaments that I was playing. I wound up only being up 41 cents after all of the cash hands that I played, but I got in a lot of interesting spots. I think I made a bunch of mistakes, and we should have some good stuff to look at here. Let's get into it. This was one of the hands I thought could have been a mistake. I had gotten in a few hands against this Blazin, I believe that's his name. But I got in some really big hands with him, and he made some plays that were kind of fishy. He made some really aggressive bets, and he took some big pots from me. You can see by his stack, he's pretty deep on this table. So this hand, I have Ace-Jack offsuit, under the gun +1. I open raise to 3x, and Blazin comes back over the top in 3 bets from the small blind. It's 225 to go. I just call being in position against this player, and I know that he's been 3-betting very light. He's been playing ultra aggressive. I just want to see a flop here. And I wind up flopping the ace, jack kicker, 475 in the pot. He leads out for 2/3 of the pot. I make a call. He bets 2/3 again on the turn. I think I'm beating a majority of his range here, so I do make the call. And the river is a 4, and I know how wide this player's range is, but I am beyond committed at this point. I'm going to be calling pretty much anything. And he jams all in. I can't get away from it. I make the call with ace-jack, and I wind up seeing 5 deuce. That hand was pretty shitty. I don't know if I could have gotten away from it. You guys will have to let me know what you think about this hand down in the comment section below. Maybe a 4-bet pre-flop, but even ace-jack offsuit is a pretty light holding, pretty weak holding to be 4-betting with pre-flop, and I think I'd rather just see a flop against this type of player. Here's another one where I think I probably made a mistake. We have a post to our right. I have ace-9 suited in the cutoff, and it comes to us, and I isolate to 5x with the ace-9 suited. We get a call from the big blind. Flop is 2-tone, 2 clubs. We are 1 club from the nut flush. We have 2 overcards from the board. This is a spot where I'm going to be playing very aggressive. I make it 364 to go, and the player in the big blind comes back over the top. And I thought about jamming here, and I probably should have, but I thought we could get some more value in the later rounds. So I just make a call, pot commit him. We're pot committed at this point. I put him on maybe a flush draw as well, maybe a straight draw with the lower cards out there on the flop. I bet 752 on the turn, and that was a bet that I was pretty much trying to get him to chase his draws with. And when we hit our flush on the river, we are set up to get all of our chips in the pot and have him stacked. And I think maybe I should have just checked back the turn here, and I think that could have been a big mistake, or I should have bet bigger. If I could redo this hand, I would totally just jam with the 2 overcards and the flush draw on the flop, and I think I got thrown off. It was pretty late at night. Yeah, it was 2:20 a.m. I don't think I was thinking straight at this point, but he does jam all in. It is like 28 bucks to call here. If he has the king, we still have outs to the ace or any club out there. I still think there's a chance he is bluffing here, and I do make the call. He wound up hitting his king on the turn. We miss our flush on the river. We miss our ace on the river, and he takes down a big pot right there. That one was kind of a weird hand. Again, if I could redo it, I would be jamming on the flop. I think I should have. I'm not really sure why I slowed up right there, and I think that was a mistake. Now we are at a 10 NL table. We have pocket kings. We open to 3x from under the gun +1. We get called by the button. Flop is jack high rainbow. Pretty draw heavy, lots of straight draws out there. A donk bet out to 2/3 pot, and we get 3 bets by the button player to 240. And this looks a little bit too aggressive and looks very bluffy to me. I think a lot of the strong hands with such a dry board are going to slow down and try to suck me along for as long as possible. I don't know exactly how this player plays. We only have 36 hands on this player. We can pretty much assume that this is a recreational player, but I think kings are going to be good here a lot of the time, so I wind up making the call. The turn is a 2. That could not have helped many hands out there. There's 555 in the pot. We are already committed. This player jams all in. I make the call with the kings. We wind wind up seeing that he had a gut shot or an ace draw on the river, misses him, and we pick up a pot right there with the pocket kings. Here's another one against that blazing player. I stacked off to this guy like 2 or 3 times. It sucked, but I got some of them back by the end of the night. So I open raise with ace queen. We are 5-handed on this table to 3x. Blazin makes a call on the button, and we get a call from the big blind as well. Flop is ace high, all clubs. I make a 2/3 pot size bet, and he raises. And I think I probably should have gotten rid of this one right here. I put him on a hand like ace X with a flush draw on his X card, and I was planning on just jamming here on the turn and pot committing him. He only has 14.99 left in his stack. There's 14.27 in the pot, and I was just gonna make a flush draw pay here. So I do get it all in. He wound up flopping 2 pair. I knew that could be in his range, and I think I probably made a mistake there as well, and could have gotten rid of this one when he flop raised. Giving money to the fish today. Nice hand though, well played. I had outs. Same table against the same player. We have pocket aces on the button. He limps, and I make it 135 to go, a little bit larger than 5x. I know that he's been playing a ton of pots. He sees a ton of flops, so I made a little bit larger of an isolation bet this time. There's now 415 in the pot. 5 high, 2-tone board. We have a gut shot to a straight, very draw heavy board, and a lot of low cards out there. I bet 263 on the flop, 2/3 of the pot, and we get a call from up in the air. This player is relatively regular, high VPIP, pretty low fold to flop bet numbers, pretty low fold numbers all the way down, and blazing calls as well. There's now 1204 in the pot. There's now a diamond draw out there. I make it 7 on the turn. It's a little bit less than 2/3 of the pot. There's now $33 in the pot. The spade draw got there. If anyone had a 6-7, they hit their straight on the river. Both players check back to me, and I was thinking about getting some value here, but showing down with this hand that kind of turned into showdown value by the river isn't terrible, and I do just wind up checking. I think any spade draw that hit probably would have bet into us. There's the possibility that a 2 pair or a straight would check back, so I'm not opposed to just the check here, and we wind up picking up that big pot with the aces. Now we're looking at pocket kings. This is a 50 NL table. We have a limp from under the gun. We are 6-handed right now. I isolate to 5x. Flop is 10 high, 2-tone. 575 in the pot. I continuation bet to 364, 2/3 of the pot, and we get a call from this looser type player. We don't have a ton of hands on this player, only 49. Very high VPIP, very low fold to flop, turn, and river bet numbers, but has shown down well so far over this small sample size. The 6 on the turn probably didn't help out too many hands. I continuation bet again to 750, and this player makes a call. The river is a 9, a 7 got there for a straight. Probably not going to see too many 7s unless they're suited connectors or pocket 7s in this player's range. There's 2803 in the pot. There's 2633 in this player's stack, and he jams all in. And I really thought about this one for a while and thinking what the possibilities of 7s or any hand with a 7 in his hand. I did not put him on 9s, and what I came down to was that this player either missed his flush draw, he could have had queen jack for the nut straight, and I think there's a good possibility I should have folded this hand. Queen jack got there. Any suited connectors or suited gappers with a 7 in his hand have a straight. I think a set is probably the loosest jam out there. I didn't think I was going to run into a set here. I think straights and bluffs are going to be jamming here, and we're pretty much getting a little bit better than 2-1 on our money, and it's hard to read fish, so I do wind up making the call and losing a big pot right there to his river 9. What do you guys think about this one? Could I have gotten rid of this hand on the river? Should I have gotten rid of this hand on the river? Let me know in the comment section below. I think this was a really tough spot. Here's our biggest money win of the night. We have pocket kings at the 100 NL table. We are playing from the big blind. The button raises into us, makes it $3 to go. The small blind calls, I 3-bet with the pocket kings to 13, and the button calls, the small blind calls as well. You can tell by the small blind's number this is a recreational player, 62% VPIP, very high numbers. The button is pretty recreational as well, only 333 hands on this player, 32 VPIP, hasn't folded to a 3-bet pre-flop yet. So there's $39 in the pot, 8 high flop, 2-tone. I think we are good here a lot of the time. I make a 1852 bet. We get called by the player to our right, Mr. Salty. The turn is an interesting card with the ace of spades. That is a bit of a scare card. I think there could be a lot of club draws with an ace in there that this player has in his range. Maybe just even an ace high that he called with, floating the flop. He checks back, and this is a value bet from me. I want to make any of the small pairs that could be out there chasing, and any flush draw that could be chasing as well pay here. There are some ace hands in his range that could have been playing here, but I think we get enough value from the rest of the hands to make that worthwhile. The river is a 3, and if this player does not jam, I think we are good here, and we can bet for value, which is what I do, and he winds up folding. He probably did have some kind of straight draw or flush draw that he missed, and we pick up a very large pot right there. Makes up for all the other losses that we had at the smaller tables. This was another interesting one that I thought would be a good addition to the video. This is a 50 NL table. We get an open raise from the button player. We have ace queen in the small blind. I decide not to 3-bet here, which could have been a mistake, and I just make a call. Flop is jack high. I check back, and the button continuation bets for a little bit smaller than half pot here. And I think this is a pretty easy call against this player who bets very wide on the flop, opens very wide on the button, and I think we're ahead of him a lot of the time here with the ace queen, so I do make the call. The turn is a king. We now have a gut shot to a 10 for the Broadway straight. I just check back, and he checks back as well. And right now, I know this player does not like what he has, or he would have continuation bet. He has a huge difference from his flop continuation to his turn continuation. He changes to fit or fold from the flop to the turn, but has a very high aggression frequency and bet frequency on the river. So I think when he doesn't get there, he's not afraid to throw a river bluff in. The river is a 7, probably didn't connect with many hands, and he throws out a small bet of 216. He does not show down well, and he bets a ton of rivers, and I honestly think that we are good here with just the ace high. And I do make the call. He was probably amazed that I called a flop and river bet with just an ace high, but this is one of those hands where you can just read the player's range and know that you are ahead most of the time. We know that he missed his king. A jack might have continuation bet again. He probably didn't hit his 7, so there's really no way he connected with his board unless he was playing a low pair, but why would you bet that for value on the river? That was a fun hand. Head down to the video description for links to Hold'em Manager, which is what I use to review my sessions just like I did in this video. There's the link for America's Card Room as well. If you have not signed up for America's Card Room, use promo code DKPoker to receive $1,000 match bonus as well as 50 tournament bucks. Hit that subscribe button if you guys have not done that yet. Got daily videos coming out. I'm going to get in the OSS series today, get in some big tournaments, and have that video coming out tomorrow. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you like the content, give it a thumbs up, you guys. Looking forward to hear your comments about my shitty play today in the comments section. I guess it wasn't all shitty. I made a couple good plays here, like this last hand. But I'll be back with a new video very soon. Until then, I'll see you guys out on the virtual felt.